Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend and you're raring to go here today. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to keep talking about this until you guys have it memorized, and that is our USP, because nobody else out there has it. You need to be able to roll this right off your tongue. We increase people's retirement by 25% or more. So give me some answers. What are the three ways that we can increase people's retirement by 25% or more? Where their risk doesn't go up, it actually goes down, which is the opposite you'd think would happen, obviously. We got everybody's saying the sale, and the sale in the bucket is the same. Without changing any investment. So what can we do? Okay, William's got it. Awesome. Nick's got it. Tom's got it. And many of you have some of them. Ben's got it. So guys, if you don't know how to do this, not the FIA, John's a good answer, not the FIA. Guys, let me just pull up our, this is important, because if you're going to say you can do it, you better be able to do it. So one is developed by the University of San Francisco. Which one is developed by the University of San Francisco? Sale, that's right. Good job. Okay. So the next one is a simple tax strategy that for some reason most people aren't using or aware of. Where can you find out information about that one? If you don't, first of all, does everybody know that one, or there's the people who don't know that one? If you say, and if you don't know about that one, where you're going to find how to do that one. It's not tax clarity. That's maybe they can do it, William. I'm not sure how they do it, but how we do it is if you go to events, just watch the Tax Smart retirement presentation. It's a simple and easy thing to do. It's a simple and easy thing to do, okay? And then the third way we can do it, many people have already said how to do that, which is an analysis of 12 different withdrawal strategies that best fits your current portfolio. Unfortunately, most people use the 4% rule, which is actually one of the worst of the 12 strategies. And guys, what do almost all your competitors use for withdrawal? It's a 4%. And that's one of the worst ways you can do it. So where can you find the best ways to do it? So you go to meeting process, agreement meeting, goal script, because remember, that's the first goal that we really lock in, right? Pass on to the heirs. Look at how much real estate we give to the first one. The second one is where we really start locking that in without changing any investments, but instead using what you already have. There are ways you can actually increase your income by 25% all the way up to 100% or more with less chance of running out of money, which is odd because you think you'd actually increase your chance of running out of money if you're taking more out, but we actually lower that chance. So would you want me to look at the 10 methods? We say 10 here. There's actually 12 methods that would work best with your current investments. So they're all right here, right? So if we go to the method, we walk through the different methodologies here with where you can find those methodologies mentioned. The two that we add on to that, so the American Institute of Economic Research has a great paper on these first 10, all the different ways. We use the University of San Francisco and HECM method. And guys, if you should commit this to memory, the HECM method. You should commit it to memory. It is what allows us, with your compliance's blessing, to use the USP that we can increase people's income by 25% or more, all the way up to 100% without changing any of their investments and lower their chance of running out of money. This is what allows us to say this. So guys, how many months have I been talking about the USP? How many months have I been talking about the USP? Over a year, over 12 months. In the last 3 months, how many times have I talked about it? And should we be having any problem with understanding how we do what we do? Because again, do any of your competitors, or any of them, able to make this USP? What are all your competitors saying? I'm a wealth management expert. I'm a retirement expert. I'm an IRA expert. I'm a 401k expert. I'm a tax expert. I'm a Social Security expert. How many of your competitors are saying that, dudes? And if you're saying that, what does that say about you? That you're walking like a duck, talking like a duck, quacking like a duck, you're talking like everybody else. What's the chance of your marketing working if you sound like all of your competitors? Guys, I should be charging you thousands of dollars for this USP. Then maybe you would treat it like it is. This is solid gold. And how many of you are treating it like solid gold versus, oh yeah, it seems like a good idea? Guys, you should have this backwards and forwards. You should have a big sign in front of your business. You should have a big billboard over your business. You should have a big sign on your car. You should all your business cards should have this. All your email should have this. All of your letterhead should have this. Guys, do you get it? If you were ask yourself, hey, if I'm wrong, please tell me, Mike, you have a big fat hole in your head. If you're at a cocktail party, you're after church talking to somebody, you just met your new neighbor, and they ask you what you do for a living, and you say, I'm a wealth manager, how many of them want to continue that conversation? If you say, I'm a Social Security expert, how many want to continue that expert? If you say, I'm a tax expert, how many want to continue that expert? If you say, and they're the right age, which is really any 59 and up, if you say, well, I increase people's retirement income by 25% or more, where the risk doesn't go up, it goes down, and you don't have to move a single investment of your investments using 3 techniques proven in the last few years. One was developed by University of San Francisco, and then a simple tax strategy. Another is just analysis of the 12 different withdrawal strategies people can make. See, unfortunately, most people use what's called a 4% rule. That's actually the worst way you can pull money out of an account if you want to get the most and lower your rate of return. How many people are going to say, well, really? I mean, how you do that? How many people would say that? I don't know how many would say it, but I guarantee you more will say, how do you do that, than if you say, I'm a wealth manager. I'm a financial planner. I'm a financial advisor. I am a Social Security. I'm a tax. Guys, this is solid gold. Memorize this. Become familiar with it. You should be fluent in this USP and how it's done. Make sense? So let's talk about why you may or may not be fluent on that USP. And guys, I'm just to be straight with you, I am the pot calling the kettle black with lots of these things. That's why I do. I look inside myself. I do insightful things. I critique myself continually. If you don't think I'm constantly critiquing myself, you can talk to Missy or my wife, because I'm constantly critiquing myself. So let's first of all talk about why I may not be using some great tool that's right in front of me and I'm ignoring it. These are habits of unsuccessful people. I've shown this probably 3 or 4 years ago. A lot of guys have printed this and it's up on their wall so they can constantly look at this. And they love this because it's something we all fall into. Not you, not me. Everybody falls into these things. So number one is we think we know it all. Well, obviously with USP, have we discovered today we don't know it all? Have we discovered today we don't know it all? Yes. We try to bring others down to our level. Rather than rising up to somebody who's better than us level, we want to bring everybody else down to our level. We stop learning. Guys, how long have I been talking about this USP? You should have learned it a long time ago. We stop learning. We blame others. We think and say and do negative things. Yeah, I'm sick and tired of Mike talking about this USP. Why is he always doing this? I get it. Yeah, that we have a great USP. So why, let's go into something more sexy. How do I get in front of people? Guys, that's what I hear from guys. I need to get in front of more people. How do you get in front of more people? See, everybody on your block can use, well, let me ask you a question. How many people on your block can use what you do? How many people on your block could use what you do? What percentage of people? Yeah, all of them. So how do you get in front of all of them? By mount a big speaker on your car and say, hey, I'm a wealth manager, so you know I'm your neighbor down the street. I'm a wealth. Is that how you do it? Or turn up the loudspeaker even louder? Or hire 3 or 4 cars to drive up and down with speakers? How do you make your marketing work? How does any marketing work? What makes marketing work? Differentiation. That's right, Nick. Would you rather have the best? If you have a street, there's a street in a vacation town, and there's 12 taco stands on that street, and you have the absolute best taco out of the 12 taco stands. You have the best tacos, and then there's only one ice cream store, and it serves average ice cream. Who's going to make more money? Your best taco out of 12 taco stands, or that one ice cream stand that has average ice cream? When everybody's saying I got tacos, it doesn't matter who has the best tacos, because you're maybe you get 50% of the taco business, but the other 9 people are going to get the rest of the taco business. With ice cream, you're going to get 100% of the ice cream. Okay? Holding grudges, having a sense of entitlement. God, I don't know why people don't come to see me. Why should they? You're saying the same thing everybody else does. Always angry at others. Don't know what they want to be. Secretly hope to fail. Take an easy way out. Get distracted every day. This is my problem. This circle should be the biggest. Get distracted every day. How many of us, and we've talked about this before, get drowned in looking at the news feed, at your social media feed, at your kids' basketball league, at your fantasy football league? Hoard information or data. Act before they think. Fear change. I haven't marketed in 3 years. Should I fear marketing if I have a USP that none of my competitors are offering? Give up easily. Waste my time. Yeah, get distracted, waste my time. These are my two. These circles would fill up half the screen if it was my habits. Criticize. Never set goals. Now, again, we don't want goals. We want what, guys? A system. So these are the things that would cause us not to be successful, to not have at this point know what the USP is backwards and forwards. These are the kind of things that would require that would cause us not to be using the best tool that we have available for you. So what can you do? What can you do to become a better, more successful advisor every single day? Well, this is right out of HubSpot, 26 Habits of Incredibly Successful Salespeople. 1 is understand your target market fully. Does our unique selling proposition understand our target market fully? What does every person that we meet with want in retirement? More risk or less risk? More income or less income? More hassles of having to move all their assets, or the easy way out where they don't have to move any of their assets? Does our unique selling proposition understand our target market? It absolutely does. Use a measurable, repeatable sales process. Do we have, we've got 60,000, again, we have way more than 60,000 meetings because we quit cataloging or putting people's tapes in our library to save forever. But we have 60,000 tapes of the 21-point checklist working. Is that measurable and repeatable sales process? Know your product. How often do you spend talking to Matt or Jerry about your product? How well do you talk to Jeff or myself and know the 21-point checklist and the scripts? If you want to be successful, how well do you know your unique selling proposition? How well should you know your unique selling proposition? How well should you know your referral script? Get rid of your maybe files. For those of you who don't know what a maybe file is, and this isn't me saying this, I did it, but this is HubSpot. When they did all the research, this is habits of successful people. If I've not closed somebody, do I put their file in my maybe file and say, well, no, I could probably close those guys somewhere in the future? No, what do I do with that file? Those of you that have been working with me for 10 years or more, you've heard me say this many times. I toss it? Why? Why do I toss it? I toss the file. I leave their name in my CRM and I drip on them, but I toss their file. I shred their file. Why do I shred it? So if they come to me again a year down the road, guess what we're going to have to do? start the process all over. In fact, I tell them that. If I've missed a sale, I say, listen, I get it. You've decided not to work with me. I just want to let you know if I haven't heard from you by Friday, I will either send all your information back if you want, or I will shred all your information. So if you ever want to come back to me, we'll just have to start this process again. Why do I do that? Because that's right, it's distraction. I used to have this filing cabinet with $7 million worth of possible business in there. So guess what that did to my work ethic? If I had a filing cabinet with $7 million of assets sitting in there, all these cases that I missed. I thought, what? I have to work harder? Or, if I ever really got desperate, I can go back to this filing cabinet. That's what I was doing. Instead, when I canceled when I got rid of all those files and then going forward, didn't put another single file into that cabinet, because if somebody wasn't going to work with me, I said, listen, I get it. You decided not to work with me. If I don't hear from you by Friday, I'm going to shred the file. And if you ever come back to me, we're going to just need to start the process over again. First of all, about 20% of those people then, guess what? Revived them and they came back in, which is how much better than 0% if I just had this filing cabinet of maybe, and I didn't touch them, didn't approach them again until 6, 7, 8 months down the road. I'll take 20% all day long. But that's not the reason I did it, because by getting rid of that, it made me much more effective with the rest of the people. Because when I was getting maybes, let me think about it, it just made me think I still had a chance at those people. Rather than getting better at my first meeting, getting better at the 21-point checklist, getting better at closing people, I would say, well, I can always go back, and some of those people will buy eventually. So get rid of your maybe filing cabinet. Successful people use shortcuts and hacks. Guys, when I was doing tax analysis for people at the first meeting, I could pull out a 1040 form, and within and I pulled out a 1040 form when I was sitting at the first meeting in my calculator, and I did a mock tax return right in front of them in less than 3 minutes. How was I able to do that, guys? Many advisors are intimidated so much that they won't even do it at all. I'm doing it in front of them in 3 minutes with a calculator and a 1040. And I'm saying, here's how much money you could save on taxes with a 1040 and also with the Social Security taxation form. Do you think it helps when I'm sitting in front? What does that say to a client when I'm sitting in front of them with a calculator, a Social Security taxation form, and a calculation form and a calculator, and within 3 minutes in front of them, I'm saying, this is how much tax you can save. Yeah, it says I'm a consummate what? Professional. Is that a 3 minutes worth spending with a client at a first meeting? How many of them were blown away? So that's the kind of shortcuts and hacks. Now, guess what? It used to take me a half hour to 45 minutes. How was I able to get it down to 3 minutes? It used to take a half an hour to 45 minutes to do it, but after you've done 100 of them, guess how quickly you can do them? It's simple math. So those are the kind of shortcuts and hacks you want to use. Make sense? Number 6 is the 6 active listening skills. Get better at paying attention when you're listening to somebody. Withhold judgment. Get into their shoes. Reflect on what they've said. Clarify on what they said. Ape them. Agree. Parrot. Empower. Summarize. Share. Get better at active listening. Yeah, mirror. Number 7. When you're at work, you should what? Work hard. When you're not at work, play hard. Guess what I find I was doing when I was unsuccessful? And I found too many guys do this as well. When they're at work, they also play. And what do I mean by play? What are some ways you could play at work? What are some ways you could play at work? Well, you talk to your builder who's building your house or remodeling your house. You look at your social media. You get your roster together for your basketball team this weekend. Guys, you talk to your wife 3 or 4 times during the day just about how things are going. When I'm at work, guess what I'm doing? I'm working. Now, when I'm at home, guess what? Remember, I used to do my 21-point checklist at 5 in the morning on Saturday so that I was done. So when I went home at 7 in the morning, got in at 5 in the morning on a Saturday, done by 7 in the morning, the rest of my weekend was focused 100% on what? My family. When I went home at 5 o'clock during the weekdays, 100% of my time was spent on, guess what? Play and family. So when you're at work, successful people work hard. When they're at home, they leave work at work and they play hard. When you start mixing the two, what happens? Does as much work get done, and do you ever get as relaxed as you would be if you just played hard when you were out of work? That's going to burn all that excess energy, and you're going to be much more relaxed. And when you're at work, you can get a lot more work done. Don't mix these two things. Number 8, they forget to follow up. And remember, I've had him speak twice. Never in 20 years have I had an advisor speak twice on these calls. And it's because he is the most awesome guy at follow-up. He's averaging over the last year about 1 referral per client. How many of you are averaging 1 referral per client? And the reason being, and he markets as well, like a madman, because he has total faith in his ability to close people once they come in from a seminar, whether it's a digital seminar or whether it's a regular seminar. Tom is our king of follow-up. He has so many people that couldn't move to him that 3 years later pick up the phone, call him, and say, I'm ready now. You talked to me 3 years ago. He has so many referrals. He does works virtually, so he does 21-point checklists for people halfway across the country. He's never actually met those folks, but they have trust in him because he's so good at what he does. With a 21-point checklist, he can do it digitally, do it over line, do it virtually. And he gets those opportunities because he never forgets to follow up. Remember, we recreated the whole system for you, his whole system for you, in our follow-up system with 5Q. He's kind enough to share that with us. Missy and Tricia worked really hard at getting it systematized into a book. Don't forget to follow up. It is the key. It's the key to creating a practice that you don't have to market hard and you still get tons of business. Number 9, they personalize everything. So, and this is something else that Tom does very well, is his thank you gifts are personalized to that person. I didn't do this. Everybody got a thank you piece, a thank you blanket when they came in. It was a big old $1 million bill blanket when they came in. I did not personalize it. Tom does a fantastic, but I didn't get to a tenth of the referrals Tom got either. This is a big reason he gets it. Personalize everything that you do for your client. Thank you gifts, your marketing, your follow-up meetings, etc. Number 10, it's important to learn from your mistakes, but it's better to learn from other people's mistakes. If you're not, every other week, 5 minutes, I send you a tape where we critique a small 2-3 minute portion of somebody's meeting with somebody. If you've been doing that every other week for the last year, guess how much better you are right now? Not listening to it, but learning from it, practicing what they've learned from other people's mistakes. How much better would you be right now? Now, I ask you a question. How many of you, when those come in, set them aside and say, I'll listen to them later, and then never do it? So give me a raise of hands. How many of you have actually listened to 100% of those that come every single week, the tape breakdown? Listen to them and then actually work on it, okay? And do you actually not, so that's awesome. We got some people who've listened to them, 100% of them. A few people, not very many though. Now, how many of those few people that have listened to them actually then spent a half an hour practicing that skill that was learned? Listening is better than nothing, but how much is listening to them versus actually practicing that skill? So guys, when you're asking yourself, I'm struggling, I'm not seeing as many people as I want, but I don't know the USP, I don't do follow-up, I'm not an expert at the 21-point checklist. Do you understand why you're having trouble right now? Practice soft people skills, listening skills, conflict resolution, positive attitude, be a better person. Number 11. Number 12, knowing when to walk away is a wisdom. I did that with the maybe cabinet, right? Be a team player. Be a team player. Help other people in your office, help other colleagues in the industry. But more importantly, be a team player with your clients. Be honest. Guys, when I tell a client I have a wealth manager who, he's not going to give you all the rates of return, but he'll protect you on the downside. So that's why I use him. Am I being honest with my client? Everybody answer this. If I'm a wealth manager, you have a wealth management manager, and I tell people, well, here's the thing. Here's the reason I use him. He's going to manage your money really well, and he's going to make sure that we're going to get the lion's share of the market. But on the downside, he's going to protect you from a risk. Am I being honest? I've got one answer to that, two answers to that, 3, 4, 5 answers, and you're all saying so. 6 answers. The 6 answers are no. 7, 8, 9. People who are not answering this, I'm afraid, are thinking what? Well, no, my manager is saying that. Now, if you're thinking that, if you are offering a money manager that says, I will protect, he won't get you all the upside, but on the downside, he's going to protect you, you should be willing to what then? If you truly believe that, and anytime somebody approaches me for an investment, I'm all in. I'm like, I'm all in, I'm all in, I'm all in. That's right. Nick said it, but I always say, all I need for you to do is bet your house that if what you say is 100% truthful, that you will bet your house. Because how much risk do they have of losing their house if they're being 100% truthful? None. So guess how many times I've invested with any of those people that got these fantastic ideas for me? None. So when you have a wealth manager, what are the things you promise somebody with wealth manager? When the market goes up, your accounts are going to what? Go up. When the market goes down, your accounts are going to what? Go down. And over the last 100 years, here's the great thing. The markets go up more than down. So because we know your equity side is going to go up when the market goes up, down when the market goes down, and we know that over the long term, that's going to work out well for you, that's why we go with a 60-40% split between the market and an FIA, or a 50-50 split, or a 40-60 split. That's why we do that, because my money manager can't get you out in time. Guys, if a money manager could get you out in time, or could validate that you could pull out 4% a year for the rest of your lifetime, how rich would that money manager be? Are there any money managers right now that are guaranteeing that the client could pull out 4% a year for the rest of their life? I'm not talking about FIAs or VAs. I'm not talking about wealth management. Is there any? Okay, so that tells. What does that tell you about how confident they are in managing people's monies? Because if they could do that, guess what the minimum client size would be? 100 grand? $1 million? No. Remember, what is long-term capital management? What was the long-term capital management way back 30 years ago? What was their minimum client size? Yeah, 100 million. So here's the funny thing, and I knew this would happen. We've had a few people leave this coaching call. Why do you think they left? I can say this because they left. Why do you think they left this phone call? Because the truth what? Yeah. So I appreciate the ones that are sticking this out, because can you get, again, we go back to what makes somebody unsuccessful. Did they just break some of those rules or some of those circles we first looked at by leaving? Did they just identify themselves as somebody who wants to be successful or unsuccessful? Be a problem solver. Are we problem solvers for clients? Yes. All of our non-financial things solve problems. All the non-financial things we do solve problems. That's just to tell people I make $1 million a year by doing things I don't get paid for, because people were able to identify me as somebody who cared because I did those things even before they became a client, even before I showed that I cared. Be a problem solver. Don't be upset when people reject you. Nice things are rejected all the time. You got it. Now, when I was making big money using the 21-point checklist, I would get so confident that I would quit using the system because I would be convinced it was me, not the system, that was making all this money. So when I would have that person who would reject me, and I'm walking away from it's a $20,000 commission, what did I do? Did I chase them or did I walk away? I walked away because I said, you know what? I did not chase them. Did not chase them. I walked away because I said, you know what? The reason they decided not to work with me because why? Me. Because if I chase those people that decided not to work with me, if I chase them and hound them and try to get them to move their money, what's the chance I'm going to get them to move their money? I'm going to drip on them, yes, but I drip on them what? Through the snail mail, not by calling them, not by hounding them with the emails. I walk away. Because is that stressful or not stressful when they decide to stay with their current advisor and I'm hounding them? Stressful or not stressful for them? And what are they eventually going to do? They're going to say, I will never work with Mike. So I just left them that message and listen, it seems to me like you've decided to stay with where you're at. Just to let you know, if I haven't heard you by Friday, I'm going to shred all your information unless you want me to send it back to you. If you ever decide to work with me in the future, we'll have to just go through the process again. And I walked away. And then I introspectively said, what? The reason they walked away was why? What was the reason they walked away? What was the reason? Me. So I would say, you know what, Mike? Got too big for your britches. Want to take shortcuts and not use the system that's worked over and over and over again. You want to pretend like you were a fantastic salesperson instead of you were using a fantastic system. So lesson learned. That was a $20,000 cold, wet slap in the face to get back to the basics. How many football players, if you're the best running back in the league, but you fumble all the time, does it matter? And there's been lots of fantastic running backs that have gotten back to the basics and said, you know what? I'm going to work on one thing and one thing only. What is that? Hold on to the ball. So you go back to basics. Don't be upset when people reject you. Use it as a learning experience. Gain more referrals. How do you gain more referrals? Use the unique selling proposition. Do more annual reviews and ask for referrals with a referral script. Balance work and life. We already talked about that. When you're at work, work. When you're at home, have fun. Don't mix the two and don't get these two out of balance. Every single day, relax, refresh, recharge. How often does science say we need to walk away from whatever stressful or focus-intensive task we're working on? How often should we walk away from that? What does science tell us? Every hour. You should only be working on a stressful that's right, John, once an hour. You shouldn't be working on any stressful thing for more than an hour. You need to walk away for 5 minutes, clear your mind, take a walk, go to the bathroom, get a cup of coffee, whatever you need to, and get back to it. The mind cannot, and if you don't do that, you're not helping yourself. Sleep well. Get more than 7 hours of sleep. Don't partake in anything that's going to rev you up before bed. Keep a consistent sleeping schedule even on the weekends. And seek help if you're having poor sleep. Getting sleep makes you sharp. If you don't believe in what you're selling, neither will your prospect. If you have not done a 21-point checklist on yourself, how successful are you going to be? If you don't own 50% of your assets aren't in FIAs, how successful are you going to be at telling people they should do that? If you don't believe in what you're doing, you cannot be successful at what you're selling. And find out what motivates you. Find out what motivates you to reach your goals. Motivation is what gets you started. But then once you know what motivates you, make it a what? A habit. And make your relationship with your customer win-win. Does the 21-point checklist allow you to have a win-win mentality with a client? Yes. Build more relationships with accountants. Build more relationships with 55 plus communities, build more relationships with senior centers, build more relationships with your local chamber of commerce and small business people, build more relationships. Remember what I hadn't talked about for a long time ago. They've discovered that you can make yourself more lucky. What's the number one way to make yourself more lucky? And it's not being positive. There's a lot of positive people that are not lucky. You need to be positive to be lucky, but being positive will not make you lucky. That's right, Nick. No more people. The more people, I'll give you an example of that. So my wife last night, her partner to go to the Rolling Stones concert opted out and couldn't go with her. She didn't want to go. She was tired herself, didn't want to go when she knew the concert was going to start until 9 o'clock at night, and she had to get up at 7 in the morning. So she decided not to go. So she contacted all of our family and my son's girlfriend, who has an Italian family, and they have a huge, happy family. And guess what? And put it out there, we have free Rolling Stone tickets. Well, because it was one of her uncles that took the tickets. Because that was part of a big, happy family, his chances of something like that happening and landing in his lap go up or go down. The more people you know, the luckier you're going to get. Always be prepared. So, should you be prepared with the unique selling proposition before somebody asks you what you do or after somebody asks what you do? Be prepared. And always be looking for clients. How do you always look for clients? You should be awesome and expert at this. Does that make sense? Now, I've been hammering this. Why have I been hammering this? Why am I hammering this, guys? When I've asked this, it sets you apart, but when I've asked you for this, how it works, even today, after we've been talking about it for over a year, several times in the last quarter, how many of you even could name the 3 ways that we do this? So maybe you think that I'm being mean or a dick or whatever it may be. Why am I hammering this home, guys? What am I telling you? Why am I hammering this home? So Tom said it sets us apart. Guys, if you want to be successful, you got to look the same as everybody or different than everybody. Your offer has to be the same. And remember, unique selling proposition, what we want is there's things that you do well, there's things that clients want, and the things your competitors do well. Where do you want to be? You want to be in something that you do well and your clients want that your competitors are not doing. Be awesome at this. How many of your competitors are doing this? None of them. None of them. We have contact with thousands, tens of thousands of our competitors through you guys, because you run all your competitors in your town. None of you have said, you know what, Mike, this stuff you're doing here, there's a guy in town doing it. How many of you have told me that hey, you know, this stuff you're offering here, somebody in my town is doing it? None of you. So we know thousands of advisors are, tens of thousands of advisors, we know that they're not doing this. So this is something you could do well. Do you think clients want it? They ask the ones with money do. And it's something your competitors aren't doing. So I'm going to keep hammering this till when I will quit doing this, when everybody what? Becomes an expert at it. Make sense? So I want this to be a positive call, but sometimes the coach has to do what? He has to go into the locker room and say, dudes, you're being lazy on the field. Get your game straight. Get your mind straight. Get your attitude straight. If you want to be successful, then you know what you need to do. If you don't want to be successful, that's okay. But then if you don't want to be successful and do what you need to do, you got to quit what? You got to quit what? Whining and complaining, saying, I need to get more people. I need to figure out how to get more people. Marketing isn't working. If somebody came to me and right now in my office and told me marketing wasn't working for them, what do you think I would do? I'd say, super, sit down. Okay. Tell me what what our unique selling proposition is. Show me how you do that. When's the last time you talked to somebody about that? And how many of you would be fumbling the ball if I asked you to do that right now in my office? So that's your answer to yourself about, that's okay if you don't want to be, if that's, if you're happy with your income right now, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's why we're working for ourselves, so we can be happy with our income. But you don't, if you can't do what do you tell a 21-year-old who's bitching about the way things are in the world and he doesn't vote? What do you tell him? You have the right to bitch, or you don't have the right to bitch if you haven't voted? You don't vote, you can't bitch. Okay? So if you don't know your unique selling proposition, you can't complain about what? Marketing. Does that make sense? So I don't want to end this on I'm just in the locker room now telling you guys, you have the tools to be successful. Use them, or you can't complain about not getting in front of enough people. Does that make sense? I mean, I love you guys. I'll do anything for you. I'll work as hard for you to succeed as you'll work for yourself. But you got to what? I'm not going to work harder for you than you'll work. I'll work as hard. So the harder you work, the harder I'll work for you. And the first way you're going to show it is learn the unique selling proposition backwards and forwards. And when you learn the 21-point checklist backwards and forwards, you learn those two things, guess what? The world is your oyster. Make sense? Awesome. So I love you guys. You keep working hard. I'll do anything I can to help you. But please, please, please put some work into your own success. Make sense? Awesome. Have a great rest of the week. We'll talk to you next Monday.